We have a lot to do today, so I'm going to dive in and dig deep. So many of you sent in emails. I appreciate that very much. So many of you posted in our Facebook group too, which I appreciate. I tried to pick up a couple of them for us to talk about here today. I am just back from doing 3.5 days of very intense training for a company who has hired me to do this 4 times for them. It happens to be Nexion. Very grateful for that. I was out in, where was I? I was in Puerto Vallarta. I'm getting ahead of myself. And it was very intense. And I wanted to share just a couple of very quick takeaways from that because it gives me a very unique and welcomed opportunity to be with a group of professionals who really, really want to absolutely master the group business. What's great is there are 50 travel entrepreneurs in the room, and it is intense. They are long days, and I'm doing probably 8.5 hours or 9 hours worth of bringing bootcamp training materials to them. And some of them end up joining bootcamp as well. Some of them might be you. I don't know offhand who's here from there. But one of the 2 big things, friends, I just want to share with you is that, because the second one will affect you, will impact you. Number one, no matter what level agent expressed this, they were really confused between the speculative group and the affinity group. Now, speculative or promotional group, same thing, or affinity group. You know, boot camp is all about affinity. So I just want to make sure for everyone who's in the house right now or who's watching this as a replay that boot camp is about affinity groups, because that's where the money is. Affinity group means there's a reason for them being together. There's a glue that binds. There's something that's bringing them together, and it's not the deal. When you're talking spec group or promotional group, what's bringing them together is the deal. They don't know each other. They have nothing in common other than, hey, that's a great deal. It's an opportunity that this travel agency has put out there. Hey, hon, can we go? Our beloved travel professional has a deal, an offer, an opportunity for us to cruise, for us to go to a resort, to go on tour, whatever it is, right now, right here, you want to go. And affinity is different, right? There's a glue, there's a reason, there's a magnet, there's a very big word, compelling reason, friends. Very, very, very compelling reason for people to want to be together. They don't need to know each other. Like Danny, in your case, they could be photographers who love it as a business or as a hobby. They don't know each other, but they want to be together to practice their craft together. Or they could know each other, of course, like a family reunion or an incentive group where they've the winners, they've won, and they're going to go hang out. They may not like each other, they may not be friends, but they work for the same company and they've won a prize. Best sales. Number 2 was GLS. You know what that is? Group launch sequence. By the way, as you enter the room, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Don't be shy. Go ahead and type in, type. But like I said, I have 2 pages of this stuff we're going to get to. I'm probably going to try to get through all of it, but I always like to bring you some top-of-mind stuff to kick off the Power Hour. GLS, group launch sequence. So we asked everybody at the end of these 3.5 days of very intense training at the Hyatt Ziva, what was the biggest like mind-blowing concept? Because in boot camp, I really, really tried to give fresh perspectives. You guys and girls know this. And it was the group launch sequence. I really had to hammer away at, you know how group launch sequence works. I mean, it's not complicated, but it is detailed that you do the promotions before you let anyone buy it. You do the promotions before it goes on sale. And so what I'm going to do for you, friends, is we already have group launch sequence in boot camp as the modules, but I feel it's important for me to go back and update it, upgrade it, enhance it, grow it, expand it, because the more I talk group launch sequence, the more I see I can add more detail, give you more hints, tips, and tricks, and better define it for you to implement. And also address the fact that when you work with a group leader and they hire you and you tell them, here's how we're going to launch the group, and you tell them, listen, friend, whatever you do, don't talk price, because we're not going to announce the price until the end of the group launch sequence. They're going to be like, what? So I need you to understand this, to embrace it, and you need them to understand and embrace it. And I think I can raise the bar on those training modules you already have and make them even better. As I learn more, I'm going to share that with you. So I just want to put that out there. Our next hour is going to be May 23rd. Make sure you sign up for that. And what else was it? I think that was it. Okay, that's it for now. I've been hired by, said it was Nexion. They're going to do it again in the spring. Dream Vacations has hired me to do their group summit, at least 3 hours of training that's coming up in June. And I don't know if anybody here in the group is going to the EDGE conference in June. I'll see you there. And I've got a whole bunch of gigs coming up too, but I don't have any plans for my live boot camp or my group sales success retreat. Oop, did I mention that? Cat's out of the bag yet. Working on it, putting details on it. Information to come. All right, let me just take the question board here. Welcome everybody in, and because we've already had a lot of people posting here. Linda's in the house. Hello, Linda. Retreat sounds good. So does the topic about the radio group. I'm going to get to it. Ramona's in the house. Good morning, Ramona. Scott's in the house. Good morning, Scott. Hey, Scott. Let me just mention this real quick. Scott had posted, right? Scott, you had posted in our Facebook group about do customers and clients who do business with you, are they doing business with you only because you're the cheapest or one of the cheapest options? And he posted another coach. Scott, you follow another business coach on YouTube and you enjoy his wisdom. I don't remember his name, but it's in our Facebook group, friends. Go check it out. It's a 1.5 or 2-minute podcast. It's great. And he says, hey, it's really hard to scale a business when you work only on price, because you operate on razor thin margins and you are a commodity. You are a commodity. You're actually not a brand. You're a commodity. Clients won't treat you as a person adding any more value to it, because all you're good for is a price point. And they'll just use you as a benchmark. Hey, let's call Stuart. Let's see what his price is. Let's see if we can beat his price. If not, we'll go back and book with him. Otherwise, it's all he is just a price point. I don't think, friends, you would have spent the money to be in boot camp if you didn't know that, if you were operating your business as a commodity. So thank you for sharing that, Scott. I appreciate that. And in this book, which I am just, reading every paragraph over and over again, he says here, if you're going to if you're going to work on commodity, if you're going to do that, well, then be the cheapest. You're only going to win if you are the cheapest. Now, I know, some people, I've met agencies to do this. They say, oh, make it up in volume. Well, good luck with that. Good luck with keeping up with volume when you operate on a razor thin margin, right? This is none of you. But some of the .coms have done this. But then they can't pay the bills. They can't pay the commissions. They can't pay for the electric bill. So it doesn't work. So Russell Brunson, he says, either be the cheapest or be the most expensive. So Scott, I just wanted to mention that. And let me go back here to, let me start off with Sam, our good friend Sam from Traveling Good Company. Sam, who's in the house here, had sent me an email about, and basically I'm going to rephrase it as ICE. Do you have an ICE plan? You know what I mean by ICE, friends? In case of emergency, ICE, in case of emergency. See, our dear friend and boot camp member and travel entrepreneur, Sam, experienced some crazy stuff in life. I'm not going to share your personal details. You shared them with me, and you have overcome them. And I praise you for your fortitude, your perseverance, for recuperating and getting back in business. But when you were down and out, you know, what happens to your business? Who answers the phones? Who answers emails? What happens to trips that are in progress that have deadlines? Friends, do you have an emergency plan? Do you? I can't dive deep in this right now, but this is more of an inspiration to have a plan, ICE, in case of emergency. And I'll just share with you from me, which is you can adapt these same things. And again, we can talk about this for hours. We can have a whole workshop just on this. Is the very basic is, well, what if your computer fails, your computer dies, what do you do? And I may have told you this when I was doing Group Sales Success Summit 1. On day 3, my computer died. My 13-year-old MacBook Pro that I love and adore dropped dead. My computer did. Oh my gosh, I'm like working 25 hours a day here and my computer died. Well, luckily, there's an Apple store here, but they couldn't migrate the data, which luckily I didn't lose data, but I back up. I back up every other day, every third day. So even if I lost data, I would have been okay. But I use my wife's computer. She has a MacBook Air, and I had already set it up with every website, every password, everything, so that I can plug and play. I could just do what I needed to do and not freak out, where's my information? So at the very basic level, do you have that, friends? And at the most not basic level, stuff that we insurance, right? What's your insurance policy? Who is going to step into your shoes to take care of your business while you're recuperating, while you're in distress, while you can't? At the very least, even your voicemail message do you have in place what to tell people to do on your email, where to tell people to go, who to contact in case of emergency? A topic for another day, and maybe I can find an expert in that area. I'm not an expert. I do what you do. We have our best laid plans and we just go with it. But maybe there's an expert out there we can bring in to shed some more light on this. And I appreciate your thoughts, feedback. Let's share it in our Facebook group so we can learn from each other. Best practices. BP, baby. I love best practices. Let me just hear here. Sam also posted listen, everyone, when doing a radio sponsored group, radio station, you should always be ready to talk live when the radio station needs a real person to give group tour information. Are you prepared for that? Are you ready for that? Are you scared out of your wits about talking on the radio, let alone speaking before people? Because on the radio, all you're going to see is the DJ, or maybe you're on your phone calling in. And it's fascinating because, like, when I conduct my interviews with people, professionals, executives, we can have a conversation, and like we're doing right now, when they're talking, everything's cool, they're jazzy, blah, 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 it's flowing, it's beautiful. Because when I do my interviews, like for GSSS 1 and 2, I want it to be a conversation. I don't want it to be an interview. I want it to be conversational. And when you do your radio station stuff, Sam, it needs to be fun, conversational. It can't be salesy. But what happens is when they go ready, 3, 2, 1, you're on, we change. We get nervous. We get fearful. Our voice modulates differently. We talk differently. We forget things, and sometimes we bloviate. Do you know what the word bloviate means? It means when we just talk in excess. We talk too much. So when I'm interviewing these people, these gifted, talented, accomplished executives, they just talk too much. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say it. Oh, don't hate me for saying this, please. But sometimes we tend to get diarrhea mouth. But it just keeps, oh my goodness, I know it's terrible. What can I say? We just talk too much when we're on. Maybe I'm doing that now. I don't know, but I'm trying to illustrate a point. To Sam's point, be ready and practice. Have a cue card. So one of the big thrills for me is finally a company in the travel industry, because I've done this outside of travel, has hired me to do a 1-hour workshop on public speaking. And it's going to be at the Travelers Network at Edge. I'm so excited to deliver it. You know, I can only speak about what they want me to speak about if it's in my wheelhouse, my love circle. And I always say, hire me to talk about public speaking, because nobody teaches this. Nobody trains you. And, you know, I can do my best helping you overcome your fears, but there are also things you can do to ensure success. I know you're going to be nervous, most of you, but there are things you can do to mitigate risk, to reduce stress, and to maximize success. Okay, Danny, I'm going to go with yours first, because you had sent me this email a couple of weeks back. And actually, Danny, we used you as an example. I didn't use your name when I did this special training conference in Puerto Vallarta. So I'm just going to read this real fast. Danny sent out 2 emails to potential photographers regarding a photography workshop. One of them was not interested. The other one was. So, Danny, I'm just going to put this out there. Danny, I love you. Everybody, listen to me carefully. And I don't know what was in Danny's email, so I don't mean to make any assumptions here. But, my friends, if you're sending, and again, I don't know, Danny, the circumstances, but if you're putting your big idea in an email, I think more than likely it will fail. They'll either say, no, thank you. They won't even answer. They'll hit delete. But what you're doing is, if you put your big idea in an email, you're spilling the beans. You're giving them an easy way out. But I know what you're saying. But Stuart, how do I get attention? Well, you just say, hey, you got 15 minutes. I just want to come and talk. I want to learn about your business. I'm a local business owner too, whatever it is. And even if it's on the phone, just get in the door first before you sell anything. Because once they know your intentions are to sell your big idea, you eliminate so many opportunities that might have actually become an opportunity. Now, one of them said they were interested, the other person said no. So 50-50, that's actually not bad. But the problem is here, we had a nice chat. One of his questions to me is, how would I promote the cruise? This is Danny speaking. And I stated I would promote it on my website, Facebook page, and business Facebook page. So here's the problem here, friends, because Danny, you also said you'd promote it within your networking group. The problem is it's already doomed to fail. You know why? Because right off the bat, this potential group leader has already put the burden back on you, the travel professional, saying, sure, I'll do it, but you've got to fill it. I'm not responsible. I don't want to do it. I can't do it. Maybe it hasn't even been suggested to them that if they're the group leader, it's got to be their list, their customer base. It's got to be their problem you're solving, friends. And what is this photographer's problem? Well, his problem would be, well, I have classes, I teach, they're wonderful students, but it's kind of dull and boring doing it in the classroom. We'd love to go on location so I can teach when we see the animals, when we see the sunset, when we see the rock formations. And then, Danny, that's when you say, wow, I've got a great idea. Let's do it. Let's take your class on the road. What do you think? I love it. Well, how big is your list? Who's on your list? Who's in your Facebook group? Who do you know? Because, Danny, it can't be you promoting it to your list. It's got to be him or her promoting it to their list. I'm just saying, I think it's doomed to fail. And then I know you said that you were hoping that they were not thinking that you would do all the promoting. Well, they are. They're totally putting the monkey on your back, and that is a failure. That's a failed group, because you're not the group leader in this case, my friend. In this case, the owner of the photographer's studio is. And remember, group viability test. Is their list, their audience big enough? And are they going to be a good, active, influential group leader? Because they're the ones that got to bring the people in. I hope that makes sense. Let me see if anybody has any comments on that. I do not see any comments as yet, but go ahead and make comments if you need to. Scott said, oh, looking forward to this, so am I. Glad you're here. Kyle said, oh, Kyle, thank you, Kyle. And this is regarding to an ICE plan in case of emergency plan. Always have 2 of everything as backup, 2 computers. Exactly. I know it sounds crazy, but if you don't own 2 computers, then make sure you have everything on a jump drive or whatever, or a little book where you have all your passwords and URLs that you need to go to get into stuff, to access stuff, and know where you can go to get a computer, whether it's borrowing it, renting one, or using a spouse's or a friend's in the meantime. Linda says Russell Bronson is also big on adding value. He is. It's all about the value, isn't it? Daniel, tell me if what I said makes any sense. And I know it was quick on my response, but that's the truth of it. Okay. All right, let me go here to Martha. Martha's in the house at Garden of Dreams Travel. Listen, everybody. I will be conducting a personally escorted group to Tuscany, woohoo, in 2020, where I'll be the group leader. So Martha's going to be the group leader, everybody listen up. I'm in the process of negotiating with Villa. Hey, are you using Villas of Distinction? That'd be cool. For 10 rooms. And this is your Martha. Listen, everybody, this is Martha's dream trip, as it is the under the Tuscan sun villa. I love it. Remember, I told you, why don't you be the group leader, do an annual trip, at least one a year, because as it grows, as long as you're fun and interesting, people will come with you. And you be the group leader. So after putting some feelers out to my current clients, including myself and my husband, we have 8 people committed. That's awesome. Now, committed until you see the cash. But Martha, you got to promise me. Look at me, Martha. Look at me. You need to do GLS. You must do, you're required to do, you have to do group launch sequence. Even though they are your friends and family who have committed, unless they have already given you the cash, they have not committed. All they're doing is jumping up and down saying, yeah, we want to go. But trust me, not all of them will go when it comes to money time. Do the group launch sequence exactly the way I did it. My wife and I did it for our partial ship charter of the Alma Christina, my friends and family river cruise. As a group leader, do I need a contract or not? I think I remember in a training it being stated, no contracts for individuals. Is that the case? Well, here's the deal, friends. While you don't need a group agreement letter contract, of course, that's not what you're referring to, but you do need an individual, with the individual guests, you do need them to understand the terms and conditions. So first you need to take a look at the terms and conditions, the contract you've been given by the villa company, because more than likely you need to have your guests sign something. I mean, just like if you're doing it on a river cruise or a ship, there's a passage, there's a waiver, there's a contract that they need to sign with that operator, the brand, the supplier. And so, see what they have. So this way you're not signing on behalf of your guests. They need to sign it. And then any other terms and conditions that you're putting on this. So I had this, Martha, with my group. Because it was my group, I had my own payment cancellation, my own payment terms and conditions. So what are the cancellation dates and what are the consequences for late payments, for cancellations, for name changes, this kind of stuff? So the answer is yes, you do need some kind of just like you probably already do with individual clients, where they need to sign something, or maybe if it's once you pay this, you have agreed to these terms. If they opt out of insurance, make sure they sign something saying, I've seen the insurance coverage and I have opted not to protect my investment. You want them to sign that too, of course, when they opt out. I always encourage that, as do the insurance companies. But there's something people need to sign so they understand what happens if they make a name change, if they don't show up, if they change their mind, You know, what especially with that villa, there's got to be terms. Does that make sense? Does that help? Let me just go to your second question, and friends, go ahead and share and post here if you want to add something. Martha was contacted by a local rugby team for a tour to UK, Scotland, and Wales. Cool. The team is 21, not including the coaches. Awaiting response to find out if they'll be playing games or if it's for leisure. That's important, obviously, right? If it's a rugby team, do they want to play? Or do they want to go watch other teams play? What's their purpose? What do they want to accomplish on that trip? It's beautiful. I never worked with a sports team. Should I attempt it? Or since it's not in my love circle, refer them? You know of anyone who I could refer it to? So, Martha, what you're putting here is very bold and courageous. And, you know, I think what I would suggest you to do, Martha, is find out what they do want, what they do need, what their desires are. If they want you to set up a series of local tournaments and games, and this is not something you're comfortable with, then either get help or do it as a joint venture or collaborative arrangement with another agent who specializes in sports type trips, because sometimes they do want to play, and that takes a lot of work scheduling the games. And maybe they'll do that. Maybe you have nothing to do with that. You just, but find out. The other part of this, maybe they just want to go see a game, and you can do that. Maybe you can use a destination management company to help you book those tickets, and you'll have to arrange those transfers. Maybe the DMC can help you do that. So, a true group, affinity group travel professional knows that part of the game is part of your job, part of your responsibility is putting together a group, a package that you may have to put on an FIT cap. You may have to become an FIT agent, piecing things together. I mean, it's about the package. Remember, we don't sell, say it with me, say it loud, say it proud. We don't sell off the shelf, bare bone stripped down products. So depending on their needs, a need analysis, Martha, that's how you'll determine if you can do it or can't do it, because you only want to do what you want to do, love to do. However, if it's just another group that requires some FIT planning, then you should be able to do it and just create a package. Remember, net everything down, mark everything up, create a beautiful bundled package. I think it's a great, extraordinary opportunity that may be right for you or not. And at the end of the day, Martha, if you don't think it's right for you, let us know, let me know, and we can put out the word to other boot campers. I've seen it happen before. Somebody gets a group opportunity, it's not in their wheelhouse, they put it out there, and they give it to another agent in boot camp, because at least they know the other boot camp agent is committed, is convicted of the correct ways to do groups, the newer ways, the better ways, and it's going to be a success. There's sort of that safety net there. And of course, you guys, you too, draw up some kind of an agreement. Okay. Okay, let me just check the boards here, and then we're going to go to Meredith, and then Kyle, we're coming to you. I got so much good stuff here. All right, let's see here. Danny said, makes lots of sense. I hope so, Danny. And we can repost this in the Facebook group if you want, and I'll try to lay out an even more detailed thing. But the end of the day is, if you got that feeling that that group leader is wanting you to do the promotions, then your feeling is correct. Remember, one of the big things is that they already need to be. If they're going to be a leader, they have to have people who follow them, follow the leader. If nobody's following them, they're not a leader of anything or anybody. They need to have a following. Catherine's in the house. Hello, Catherine. Business contingency plans are critical. That's going back to that in case of emergency plan. They are critical. And maybe I'll post as a boot camp. Maybe I'll solicit from all of you just to share a tip or two of what you do, and I'll compile this big list. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a list of 50 things, 60 things, 20 things. Best practices. What do you do? Would you share it with us so everyone can learn and get better and smarter? Linda said, I tried the group trip with me being the group leader, sent out packets, did Facebook Lives, only had one other lady and her daughter interested. I said we were going away no matter how many people signed up, so we ended up with just myself and granddaughter going. We had a great time. Posted pictures and info on the Facebook group. So I want to do it again. I just need to promote it better. I thought I'd follow the group launch sequence. Well, Linda, we got to have a conversation. Post it in Facebook. Let's talk about it. Send me an email. Give me some background. Not gonna have time to dive deep here, but at the end of the day, I'm proud of you for living up to your commitment, your promise of doing it. But then we got to find out why. Why didn't it work? Okay. Did you do the group launch sequence? Did you hold true, hold steady? Did you have people coming to your series of information presentations? Did you have people in the funnel? Did you have enough people start off at the top of the funnels that at the end of the day, when people fall off because they realize they can't go, don't want to go, can't afford it, for whatever reason, you have enough people who want to go. But more power to you for doing it and for capturing pictures showing that it was a success, regardless of how many people attended. We got to do those things, friends. Don't shy away from that. Be proud of it. Do it again and again. Go where you want to go and invite your friends and family, but do the system. There's a method. There's a system. And I'm not going to guarantee you success. There's no way. Maybe your friends and family don't want to go there, don't want to go with you. I love you, Linda, but maybe they don't. I don't know. I'll find out why. Carol's in the house. Welcome back, Carol. Carol's been a boot camper. She got other stuff going on. Then she just came back into boot camp as an alum, as a member. Welcome. Glad you're here. I have a question, recurrent group situation that I would like to discuss. All right, Carol, you tell me if you want to type it in or if you want me to put your microphone on. I'm happy to do that, so I'll be watching for your response. Let me know. Oh, put the mic on. All right, let's do that, and then we're gonna get. I love it. Hold on there. All right, Carol, hold on. Let me see if I can send you unmute your mic. Hold on here. Unmute Carol. Carol,
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. Welcome.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I've actually got a couple of group things going on now, but I've got one in particular that is going so well, we had to expand the space. I've got a land tour in Ireland for 2 Irish priests that are celebrating their Jubilee, which is their 25th anniversary as priests. So it's for next May, so May of 2020. And these 2 priests went to the seminary together, so they like to travel. Anyway, so initially I had 2 motor coaches. We've sold it out more than a year in advance. So, yay, I know, it's a totally beautiful thing. Yeah. So, so part of me was like, you know what, like just execute this gorgeous and we're done. But then the priests were like, we've got more people that are interested. Mm-hmm. So I'm working with my tour operator for a 3rd motor coach, but here's the issue. Mm-hmm. This is a 9-night tour. Mm-hmm. Where the first 2 cities, so we got 2 nights in Galway, 2 nights in Waterford, where right. We cannot get the same hotel. So the back end of the trip, the last 5 nights, we're in the same hotel, so all is well. Right. So the issue is the 3rd coach will be at a different hotel. Good hotels, just not the same one as everybody else. The second issue is 1 priest is on 1 motor coach. Priest number 2 is on the 2nd motor coach. No priest on. Now, in reality, you know, if you've ever been on an escorted tour, it doesn't really matter who else is sitting on the coach, because when we get off the coach, we're all going to be in mass together. We're all going to have dinner together. But I need to put this on the website now that we've opened up the 3rd coach. I need to disclose that we're at a different hotel, but I don't, like, I'm trying to figure out how do I disclose it so I've given the information, but not in a way that makes you want to sign up for the 3rd coach.
Carol.
Stuart.
That third coach has a what, 45 minimum or something like that, whatever it is, a passenger count.
No, I can make that work for 15 or 20. I've already worked out all my numbers and everything.
How many people are on the wait list right now?
I've got about 4 people on the wait list, but we're more than a year out. And these priests are very good salesmen. Like, they invite people to travel with them.
Mm-hmm.
So to the point though about that, I would make it clear for the people, like if I get 8, like we're not going to have a third coach. So I will make it clear that, we do have to get enough folks for the third coach.
So, Carol, I'm going to keep you on the phone here to get your feedback and friends, please go ahead and type in and I'll read your responses as well to help Carol with this tough decision. My initial response is the juice worth the squeeze? Will the complications that are now going to be evident in terms of different hotel, who's going to be on that coach, is that going to end up diluting the overall success that the group's going to have? Are those people who signed up not even late, but sign up after, going to feel less than, not a part of? And is that, how much more pressure does that put on you to do that new level of coordination to potentially have, who knows? I mean, they might end up filling the third coach or not. It could be 10 people. And again, is the headache worth it? And let's look at the bottom line here. Why would you do it? Well, you would do it because, hey, listen, more people want to go. You want to accommodate, the priests want to accommodate, and there's, the financial aspect of it too. I would lay caution to the wind here, and I agree with you. Do it in a very controlled way. Don't make it. If you do feel like you can handle this, and make a list, Carol, of the pros and cons, everything that can possibly go wrong. Adding this third coach, from money to the hotels, to the meals, to the restaurants, everything that gets a little more complicated, pros and cons. And then you can go fishing here and put it out there and let everybody know, listen, there's a possibility we can add a third coach. However, here's what it's going to look like. And you could, maybe you can use group launch sequence, have a 1-day sale, so and tell everybody, listen, if we don't have enough interested people for the third coach, game off, it's over, wait for the next one, and sort of make the judgment call, so in 1 day if it's going to work or not. 1 day, because if you open this up for sale and people trickle in over the next 6 months, it's going to drive you crazy. The other option, Carol, and I'm going to stop talking and get your feedback. The other option is to wrap it up and be able to brag about the fact that, hey, we sold out in record time, early before. My dear friends, look forward to the next one. We're going to get you on a wait list, but it's a wrap. There's no better way to sell the follow-up, the next one, if there is a next one, I'm assuming, than by being able to hold up that banner saying, we sold out last time, so now you need to get in that much early. And next time you'll have 3, maybe 4 coaches ready. So what are your thoughts with me just sharing that, which you probably already thought of, but I don't know if that changed your mind at all.
Well, actually, I mean, quite frankly, I was like, we're done, we're sold out. But, and I send the priest regular status, and they were like, any way we can get a third coach, because they are still talking to people and they still have people asking them. Mm-hmm. And so I was ready to just be done. Mm-hmm. And I had told them up front, like, I don't know that we're going to be able to get the space, and I want to be able to deliver a high quality product for the folks. And I've got 2 of them, and one guy, he's always like, yeah, but it's the number 2 guy is the one that I look for like the reasoned view of things. Mm-hmm. And he wants to do it too, which I was a little surprised. So they both want to do it, and I've explained to them the differences. And we've talked about the fact that we want to make sure that the third coach people don't feel like, you know, stepchildren or something like that. But they're still all over it. So I'm kind of, you know, pushed down that and okay, but by the way, like I've already worked out my contract with my tour operator.
Yeah.
You know, because with land tours, you have to do the tiered thing and you have to smooth them evenly over the bus. And I've gotten them to block my contract for the first two coaches separate from the third, which means I have locked in my max profitability on the first two.
Okay.
So I can't dilute that profitability. So everything I do on coach number 3 is total gravy. And so I look at it from the perspective of not only profit on it, but I've got travel insurance. I've added them to my list. Now they'll travel on future trips. I end up getting their individual business. So there's a lot of aspects to it. That is now like, well, okay, this is the path we're going. So now how do I really optimize it and make this third coach attractive to people? Because, I mean, we just opened for sale at the end of January, and we basically sold out in 2.5 months, 96 spots.
So let me ask you this, Dan. I appreciate Dan is making some comments and asking some questions here about, and he of course is suggesting you explain the logistical problem of having the 2 hotels and how the travelers might be upset by not being part of the same group. And then Dan also asked, so quick question for you, is the price point going to be exactly the same, them being in a different hotel and not having one of the guests, the group leader, a priest on board? Is the price going to be the same, lower, or higher?
It's actually going to, I'm going to be able to maintain it the same. Actually, my contract price is a little higher, but because I've already, like, all the shared costs that I have to do, like, you know, getting the priest airfare and all that kind of stuff, like, I've already got that covered with my base people. I can make the numbers work to keep it the same. But, you know, the key thing is, yes, they will be in a different hotel. But they're going to be at all the events and all the you know, like all the stuff we're doing during the day will all be together.
It'll be there. Yep.
And because I'm actually hosting the priest Jubilee receptions at their home churches in their hometowns.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, that everybody's together there. It's not really a bus thing for the majority of what we are doing.
Okay. All right, I'm going to thank you, Carol. I have a couple other comments here. I'm going to put you on mute right now, back on mute. Sam has made a comment. Jenny has made a comment. I'm going to give you my comment too, and we can continue this conversation in Facebook too, because it's a really good one. It's tempting. It's exciting. We're having success. So do you go for the stretch? Do you make it bigger? Gravy. Or do we end up putting not only that group, the new group, on the other coach at the other hotel? Do we end up putting them potentially at risk? But how about everybody else at risk? I don't know the answer to that. We don't want ever to dilute from the overall success because we wanted to go too big. It's like, I don't know, it's popped into my head. You know, you have a wedding, you're planning a wedding. It's like, okay, our cap is 200. Well, wait, we've got more friends and family. We can't not invite the cousins who we haven't seen in 17 years. We have to. Well, they're not going to come. Send them an invitation. Well, they want to come. Now we've got 232. You go back to the hall. We got 2, and they're like, we can't fit through 32. We'll squeeze them in. It's like, okay, you satisfied the 32. You had them. They bring you gifts, but the problem is it's uncomfortable for everybody because they're tripping over each other. I'm just giving an example that came to mind. But I want to talk you out of it, Carol. I'm going to put you back on mute. Is that all right?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it when we have a boot camper bold enough to put their mic on and to bring it. I love having the conversation. So thank you. This conversation is not going to end on this call, but I have so much to get to that I want to address this and continue on. So Beverly says, Sam says, set those on the third coach. Must have a minimum to go. Set hotel by rating only, not by name. Interesting. Set the hotel by rating. So you're saying you'll be staying at a 3-star hotel, at a 4-star hotel. So they're not necessarily guaranteed of the name of the hotel. I understand what you're saying. Now, I know you've already put the hotel name out there for the first group that's already booked. I don't know, maybe or maybe not, but at least you can say we'll have another 3-star so they know it's another 4-star hotel. And then have a group gathering prior to the delivery to the hotel so that you can still have all of your meetings all together and not have to jump to 2 different hotels that repeat those meetings. That's a challenge too. And add a local DMC, destination management guide, to help you locally, especially now because you may have a more affordability to do that. Thank you, Beverly, for sharing that. Jenny says schedule a separate trip instead of a third coach. So she's saying, what about a separate trip instead of a third coach? So there's another, a totally another perspective. Martha says, amazing technique to sell it out and waitlist for the next one, and something I can use for my Tuscany group in 2020. So there's another perspective we got there, friends. I appreciate you sharing that too. Nancy says, and Nancy does you do a lot of groups. Hey, Stuart, I say stick with 2 coaches. And Nancy does a lot of coach-based trips. Are the folks on coach 1 and 2 going to want to be in the same coach with more room? These are great questions. Do the priests want to do this again next year? Do they have other friends that may be celebrating their Jubilee next year? These are all great questions. Only Carol can answer. Kyle says, I would say it's sold out. Make it the best trip ever and boost it later to sell more next time. Another perspective. And my final thought to you, Carol, because as a business coach, my nickname, you guys and girls may not know this or may know this, but I have a nickname, The Wrench. I got that nickname from Mike Marshev. You all know, not Mike, you love Mike. Mike is a very good friend. He's a mentor, and he's a competitor. We compete for the same jobs, but he calls me The Wrench. And I welcome you to call me The Wrench too, because I am great at throwing the wrench into just about everything. I don't see the bad part of things. I don't see it as the glass is half empty. I see from a business perspective, okay, what can go wrong? What could be an impediment? What can be an obstacle? What can be an obstacle? What can go wrong? Because I like to prepare. I like to plan for success and be ready. Should something go wrong, I'm ready. I've counted that. I have an alternative. And the reason why the priests are giving you 2 thumbs up is because it ain't going to be their problem to handle the logistics of it. That's up to you. So you're taking on a lot more. Your level of responsibility gets magnified because you're going to be expanding. You don't know how many people are on that coach. So when you go and you escort, Carol, do you have somebody else who can go to help you? Lay out the pros and cons, the profitability, the margin, versus what could potentially go wrong, and have a plan in case of emergency. What can go wrong? Because you want those people on the third coach to feel as part of the group, as included, and you want the people who've already booked on the first 2 coaches to feel like, hey, they're not taking away, they're just adding to. So we may not have given you one final answer, Carol, but hopefully new perspectives. And as your business coach, making suggestions, laying caution to the wind to make sure you're prepared. And Julie said, asked if you already signed that contract for the third coach. Apparently you have. I'm not sure it's in stone yet, but apparently that's over and above the other 2, which are a done deal. So this is a separate contract for the third. This is great stuff. This is very exciting. And Dan, thank you for sharing this as well. And Dan made a comment about the other group that Linda had, where it didn't work. It was small, but she went. She said, Dan, do you recommend going and sharing the pictures and success with those who didn't attend? So when you do the next one, they would have the option of going and be notified. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I made sure that I never closed my Facebook group, because all the people who did not go on my partial ship charter, river cruise, they all knew. We went, we had a great time. So if we ever want to do this again in the future, they're still on the list. They saw it was a big success. They said, hey, Cohn talked about it and he walked the walk. He didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk, right? So, yeah, Dan, you go for it. Okay, hang on there. My goodness, we have so many things here. Craig, let me get to Craig and then Kyle. I promise I'm going to get to as much as possible. There's so much good stuff here. I'm trying to do an order in which they came into me, to be fair to everybody. Craig said, and by the way, Craig's from the travel agent next door. Craig, I commend you. I put an offer out months ago to boot campers on one of these calls. Hey, if you put together a hot sheet, send it to me, but get ready, get set, and be ready for my critical evaluation, my constructive criticism of it, because I love you all, but if you ask me to be your coach, I'm the wrench. I'm going to tell you what I feel is working, what's not, and how to improve it. I'm not going to leave you in the dust, leaving there. And Craig sent it to me, and it was great. His hot sheet is great, and I felt could be improved even more so. Man, I work on my hot sheet. I fix it. I change it. I update it, upgrade it all the time. It's never done. So the question is that Craig, and this is a good segue, Craig wants to approach church pastors to discuss travel as a ministry and its benefits for church members. I think there's strong arguments why any church of decent size would offer travel to its members. How do we make the pastor think it's his idea without explaining the idea and its benefits first? Well, here's the deal, Craig, you've got to have these conversations without going in, spilling the beans with your big idea. And the most important thing is they need to tell you what the problem is. What's the challenge? What's the opportunity, Craig? Meaning, is it meaningful for them to show loyalty to their flock, to the congregation? Is that what's most important? Is it meaningful for them to be able to visit spiritual, religious destinations and go on some kind of a Mecca or historical or cultural or religious journey? Is it meaningful for them to have some kind of an anniversary, some kind of a big celebration? We know Carol is building this around the Jubilee, about there's a reason for that celebration happening with those priests at that time. Here's the thing, Craig, you need to, you can't create this. You can guide them, nudge them, suggest things. But if you say, hey, let's take the flock, let's go, but if in your conversations you're saying that we have such a great group, and and you can say, hey, but wouldn't it be nice to actually go there and see it, And they may look at you going, yeah, actually that'd be cool. Or how about Craig just asking, have you ever? I'm curious. Have you ever? Maybe they've done it in the past, Craig, and it failed. Maybe they've done it in the past and it was a big success and no one suggested it. Maybe they've never even thought of it because it's too much of a burden for them, too many logistical details. But guess what? That's why they hire you. So get in the door, and remember to get in the door, go back and look at Pitch Perfect in boot camp, because it'll give you the 5 ways to get in the door. You can't, it helps if you're referred. It helps if you're a member. It helps if you're a fan. It helps if you're a customer, in this case, a part of the congregation. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what I'd like to suggest to you, is have these conversations, let them reveal what the opportunity is, really a problem, and then group travel will be the solution. So, we can't just assume, Craig, that any church of any decent size should offer travel to its members. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's your opinion. It's not theirs. But you can use other success stories. Have you done others, Craig, with other churches? Or can you look at other stories of successes, even though you may not have done that group, and use it as an example? And what does the group trip accomplish? See, if you tell them the group trip is great because you get to be with your flock and hang out with them, but what if they don't want to? What if they personally want to go visit this destination, these spots in Israel or wherever? And sure, let's bring everybody along. What is their hot button? What excites them? When you're talking to them, watch the verbal cues, the visual cues, the body physical cues of when they sit forward, when they lean forward. What gets them excited? And at the end of the day, maybe they've thought about it, but again, it's an overwhelming concept to do this, and they didn't know a guy like you exists. Craig, does that help? Now, this is going to be a conversation that's going to expand about finding your niche. Kyle for Cruise Finder now listen, it's interesting and frustrating, quote, that I have difficulty defining my special niche and creating my compelling message. It seems like when I'm a third party to someone else, I get it. But when doing it for me, it's more difficult. I don't want to be all things to all people, but I just want to select a specialty in groups and then niche, and then have sub-niches. You hearing that, everybody? Sub-niches are good. Kyle, I like your thinking. See, friends, you can pick a niche, and it can be it. It can be very, 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 very specific, down to minutia. But you could also have sub-niches. Like, for instance, hopefully you've all watched GSSS2. Have you? Have you dove and divin into GSSS2 with this niche thing? Unbelievable. Like, for instance, this religious thing, I told you this last time we were together, that's a perfect sub-niche because so many people who are already in your list may have that on their bucket list. So you can do one or two over the next few, bunch of years. It doesn't have to be a regular thing, doing a religious travel like what Craig was talking about. But Kyle, and I know, Kyle, it's awesome because Kyle, you write books. You're published. That's a story. However, that might not be your travel niche, but you tell me here, for you prefer talc, Uniworld, Crystal, Silversea, Seabourn, Virgin Voyages, and a mix of expedition cruises. That's what you personally love. And that's a great starting because that's what you love talking about. That's what you personally love to travel. And I know you want corporate. So maybe it's not the meetings, but it's the incentives. Because on the meetings, no, it's rare for them to want to be away, an upscale group, a group of physicians for 7 days, friends. And you listen to this. You may want to do 7 day on Silversea, but your client's like, no, we can't go away for 7 days. And we can't have half the hospital's physicians going out on a cruise at the same time because who's going to take care of the people? Doesn't happen. Yes, you can team up with a company that does the training, offers the CMUs or the CEUs, because no matter who you are, an anesthesiologist or a cardiologist, they still need to go to get certified. Can you hook up with these companies that do it? It's a great part of business, but breaking into it ain't easy. But what about incentives? And I know, I don't know what kind of an incentive an anesthesiologist would go on, unless it's a sales organization, a company, a corporate structure, and they want to give their best. And most of these companies, they're not going to put them cheap. Hey, everybody, salespeople, whoever has the best sales, we're going to put you on an uninclusive, bring your wallet, bare bone stripped down trip. They may go for this kind of product. I want to dig deep and dive deep, and this is a great thing for a retreat too, to help everyone on an individual. It's just very difficult to do without one-on-one coaching, but having these broader discussions. And maybe there's somebody else in boot camp who's hearing this saying, "Hey, Kyle, what about this? What about this?" Because you've done so much and you're so close. And our final note on this is that it's real hard for us to think what we're going to be best at, because we want to please the people too. So let me turn the tables, Kyle and everybody. And this is the final note before we close the session. What are people coming to you for? Why do they love you so much? Instead, don't write your own book. Look at the story that other people are writing for you. Why do they love you? Why do they need you? Why do they depend on you? So look at the purpose you're already serving, and how could you expand on that? Because if people they've already figured you out, Kyle. They know who you are, why they dig you, why they need you. So flip the perspective from you trying to figure it out to see what they've already figured out. I hope that works for you. We've got so much more to go, and I'm going to do some more stuff on Facebook. We're going to be together May 23 to have more extended, expanded conversations. And I don't know, we may need to do a not every other week, but get another one in, because it's got so much material to talk about, and I love it. I dig it. I'm grateful you're here, and I try to worship and respect your time. Hans, I know you had stuff too to talk about. I'm grateful you're here. I hope you've all found this helpful. Talk to you soon. Go help some people. They need you. Don't let them make terrible mistakes.